Good morning. Today I'm trying to get this vlog up and going. I spoke at an agape luncheon the other day, and I'm gonna have to excuse my voice. I'm got whatever the kids have had. Anyway, this luncheon I talked about my kids and that we're from Haiti. I guess if y'all don't know who I am, my name is Angie. We've got 11 children. 9 of them were adopted from Haiti. And 2 of those are our biological children, but in our minds, they're our children. But for some reason, everybody seems to think that I need to explain the whole thing. Anyway, we've been adopting children over the last 9.5 years, I suppose now. Our oldest is 18, and our babies are both 9 years old. So we've got a house full of love right now, and we wouldn't change it. And I guess if you have questions, you can ask later. Give me a comment. I'll try to do my best to answer. But I just wanted to start by sharing our Christmas day with you this year, because for Christmas we've lived in Texas away from our family in Idaho and Oregon for the last 8 years, and so usually our Christmas consists of inviting everybody who didn't have any other family close to them over to our house. And so this year we decided to go up to our folks' cabin up in the mountains, and it was so nice because there's no internet, there's limited phone. They do have a TV up there and the kids can watch movies on it, but it's just time together, and it was very special. So Christmas morning, we don't do the normal get up and rip your presents open thing. We all get up and we talk about what Christmas is about. We have birthday cake, sing happy birthday to Jesus, and then we get together. And for Thanksgiving this year, we weren't home, so we didn't do our normal Thanksgiving, go around, say what you're thankful for. And so Christmas we did before we opened gifts, and all of the kids had something different to be thankful for. And some of it was simple things like food. Some of them were things like their family here. Others, they were thankful for their family here and their family that's still in Haiti. And I mean, they just had so many things to be thankful for, and I just wish that I could have taken the time then to record them, because they were just very touching. My husband and I both shared what we were thankful for, and kind of thought we were done. Mom and Dad were still Mom was making coffee and Daddy was at the table, and Mom came over and she shared how thankful she was that we live in a country that we do, and where we have all of the benefits that we do. And after hearing what the kids had been thankful for, it dawned on me that Mom was really thankful that the kids are here and that they have all of these chances and opportunities, and that they are thankful for those. So the more she talked, the more teary I got. And so by the time she was done, I was crying. Then my dad started, and he started in on how thankful he was that he had been married to my mom for 50 years, and how that high school dating started this whole process. They have 4 kids, and they have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got 19 grandchildren. Of course, 11 of those are mine, but hey, I'd say it's not my fault, but it is. Okay, let's blame God. He has a better idea. Anyway, so my dad was talking about how he loved having our family at the cabin, to be able to share those times, those special times together, and to make memories. And so I just wanted to share, that much about my family. Dad just hopes that, he was saying that he just prayed that this would be for generations to come, that our family would come together for these holidays, or make up your own holiday. We call it Schneiderville. We make up our own whatever we want. If we want to have a party, we have a party. We don't have to have an excuse. So my motto for my talk, after talking about my kids in Haiti, was about faith, hope, and love, and how people can live without faith. It's not like a long life, because heavens. If you have faith, you know that life's never ending. But you can have faith on this, or not have faith on this earth, and continue to live. Not the most good people can live without faith. I'll leave it at that. And then love, since being in Haiti so many times, I've seen so many orphans live without love. I can see that they can live. It kind of goes along with faith. It's really hard, because if they've never been loved, they'll never be loved because they don't know how to accept it, and they'll never give love because they don't know what it is, and that makes it really hard for them to understand the love of our Heavenly Father, because He loved us first. Well, if these kids have never been loved, they don't understand that God could love them, especially after all the hardships that they've lived through. So that takes me to faith. Well, take me from faith to love, and now I'm going to talk about hope. And Hope Whispers, try it one more time, because if you lose your hope, you pretty much lose everything. There's nothing so well that we should not expect something for nothing, but we all do, and we call it hope. That was said by Edgar Howe. And after being in Haiti and seeing firsthand the voodoo that happens there, and the pieces of that we've brought back into our home unknowingly, knowing in the back of our minds that it is a spiritual battle, but I never thought those things followed you home. I see that Americans call hope something that they really call what they should be calling a want. I want a new car, not I hope I would get a new car. They say, I hope I get a raise. Well, really, they want the bigger raise. So we really switch around hope and want a lot. And we can want a lot, but our needs are always met by our Father in heaven. In Psalm 78:7, it says, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God that keep His commandments. And I've seen more hope in the poverty-stricken people in Haiti than I have in but maybe a handful of people here in the States. Perhaps it's because all they have, the reason they get up in the morning is hope. The reason we get up in the morning here is to make another dollar or to get something bigger and better. Life without hope is meaningless. And without hope, life is meaning less and less. As Eric Bentley said, if one truly has lost hope, one would not be on hand to say so. And Norman Cousin says, hope is independent of the apparatus of logic. And as my husband would describe me, logic need not apply. Charles Allen says, when you say a situation or a person is hopeless, you're slamming the door in the face of God. In an essay written in 2011 by Diaz, it says, look closely into the apocalypse of Haiti, and you will see that Haiti's problem is not that it is poor and vulnerable. Haiti's problem is that it is poor and vulnerable at a time in a capitalist experiment when the gap between those who have got grub and those who don't is not only vast but also rapidly increasing. Said another way, Haiti's nightmarish vulnerability has to be understood as part of a larger trend in global inequality. See, it used to be, we had the different levels of everything, and it seems like right now we're growing. Some people are growing, and the others are falling down. There's such a there's not the in-between, and I've found that the people who have the least share the most, which just doesn't seem to make sense to me, because if you've been blessed and you have, why not share? And I guess it must be normal. I like to say it's an American thing because I come home from Haiti, and after being there and not having clean water for the kids, but seeing them in the dirt and them not being able to have enough food and have the orange hair and knowing how malnourished they are, I come back and I go to our very friendly Walmart, and I see aisles, and there's 3 aisles, and on each side of those aisles there is juice and water and soda and anything drinkable, and I stand there, and I'd love to say that I'm over it, but almost every time I go down those aisles, tears come to my eyes because I'm thinking, we have access to all of this, and how many of us share it? How many of us want to give in a big way, not in a little way? Just, some of us want to throw a dime in or a quarter into the homeless man's pocket, but how many of you would be willing to, help him off the street? How many of you would be willing to go take him to a place and sit down and get to know him? He has a story. He has a life. And he probably at one time had a family. So people are important. Things aren't. People cannot live without hope. Throughout history, human beings have endured the loss of many things. People have lost their health, their finances, their reputations, their careers, even their loved ones, and yet have endured. The pages of history books are filled with those who suffered pain, rejection, isolation, persecution, and abuse. There have been people who faced concentration camps with unbroken spirits and unbowed heads, people who have been devastated by Job-like trials and yet found the strength to go on without cursing God and dying. Humans can survive the loss of almost anything, but not without hope. Hope is how we live. Hope is what gets us from one day to the next. A person goes to school and hopes that one day he will graduate. That person graduates and hopes that one day he will enter into a greater career. If he's single, he hopes that perhaps one day he will meet the right person and get married. When he gets married, he hopes that one day he and his wife will have children. And then when they have children, they hope that they can live long enough to get that child out of the house. We live by hope. And when hope is gone, endurance and joy and energy and courage just evaporate. Life itself begins to fade. When hope goes, we start to die. One of the most profound proverbs of the Bible says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life." Proverbs 13:12. It could be argued that everyone has hope, and that the problem with people is simply that their hopes have been misplaced. Many people begin looking around from the time they are young and wondering what is going to pay off. Perhaps they invest in athletics or academics. Perhaps they invest all their hopes in beauty and fashion. And as we get older, not always wiser, we put our hope in wealth and status, achievement and prestige. When we place our hope in the wrong things, one of two things is likely to happen. Either we will never make it to the level we had hoped for, in which we end up envious and bitter, or we make it to that level only to discover that it doesn't fill our heart. In that case, we end up unfulfilled and disappointed. With all this in mind, it is easy to see that few functions a leader is called upon to perform are more important than keeping hope alive. When others are lost in the dark and seemingly endless maze of despair, effective leaders drive away the darkness with positive projections for the future of their organization. They know when to come alongside of someone. They sense when a team member needs a quick admonition or a shoulder on which to cry. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, we must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools. Man can live for about 40 days without food, about 3 days without water, about 8 minutes without air, but about only 1 second without hope. There's a wonderful book by Ron Hall and Denver Moore. Ron is a rich, fancy art salesman, and Denver is a modern-day slave, even after slavery was outlawed here in the States. and they have some profound words I'd like to share. Denver Moore said this: "The truth about it is, whether we is rich or poor or something in between, the earth ain't no final resting place. So in a way, we is all homeless, just working our way toward home." And then this: "If the devil ain't messing with you, he's already got you. If you is waiting to clean up your own life before you get out and help somebody else, you may as well take off your shoes, crawl back in bed, 'cause it ain't never gonna happen. Jesus don't need no help from no perfect saints. If he did, he wouldn't have gone up yonder and left us down here in charge." And this: "Everybody's looking for God everywhere on the outside. He ain't in no book, and he ain't in no preacher, and he ain't in nothing or no one on the outside. You's got to go inside, 'cause that's where God is, in the deepest place inside you. That ain't nobody gonna make God tell you nothing. Ain't nobody gonna have to have wisdom about nothing if they thinks they can read about it or hear about it from some man or woman. That got to come from revelation. That got to come from the Holy Spirit inside us, and that ain't something that can be bargained for. You can't achieve revelation. You can't work for what's free." In another book, I found a statement that floored me, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this. It's a book called Radical by David Platt, and he says this: "I was invited to speak at a church on a Sunday and was asked to join the pastor, deacons, and their wives for dinner the evening before. When David told of his concern for the outreach people of the world, one of the deacons leaned forward in his chair and responded, 'David, I think it's great you are going to those places, but if you ask me, I would just as soon God annihilate all those people and send them to hell.'" The silence in the room was also the general consensus in the room. Believers in the East are willing to risk life and limb to hear the teachings of God's words for hours and hours, while believers in the West neglect to even carry their Bibles to church, let alone study it once a week, let alone practice what they hear or even listen to what they hear. We do not have time to waste our livings. We do not have time to waste our livings living out Christian spin on the American dream. The most glorious reason you exist is for the proclamation of the glory of God to the ends of the world, and it's more than having just a nice life. Romans 12:2. "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." We should all go and make this our motto: give liberally, go urgently, live dangerously. It's better to love God and die unknown than to love the world and be a hero. Better to be content with poverty than to die a slave to wealth. Better to have taken some risks and lost them, to have done nothing and succeeded at it. And finally, I'll leave you with this. Matthew 10:1, Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits and to heal every kind of disease and illness. Jesus called his 12 disciples. He didn't draft them. He didn't force them. He didn't ask them to volunteer. He chose them to serve in a special way. Christ calls us today. He doesn't twist our arms. Doesn't make us do something we don't want to do. We can choose to join him or remain behind. When Christ calls you to follow him, how will you respond? Vivit, vivit. He lives, he lives. Bonje bonum pil. God is very good. And for those who want to know how I do it, being a mom of 11 with a husband who works out of town, out of state most of the time, at least half of the year, Nehemiah 8:10. Go home and prepare a feast, a holiday food and drink, and share it with those who don't have anything. For this day is holy to God. Don't feel bad. The joy of God is your strength. that, and if you ask my kids, they say I'm a little bit crazy too. Thank you.